Nancy Drew, Mystery of the 6.5 Keys. Chapter 19. Nancy wasn't sure what to do next, so she wandered around Prague, talking to everyone she saw. Eventually, she made her way to Marek's, where she quickly noticed a new item by the window. "Whoa, Marek! It looks like your store has some trunk in the junk," Nancy said. "That is an alchemist trunk, which is over 500 years old," Marek said. "No one has ever been able to open it without breaking it. That I won't do." "I bet I can open it," Nancy said. "I'm good at opening old artifacts. I just opened the one at the museum by smashing it against a helmet." "No smashing," Marek said. "Ugh, fine," Nancy said. She looked at the trunk and saw that it had a bunch of buttons sticking out. "Has anyone tried pressing the buttons yet?" "What buttons?" Marek asked. "I'll take that as a no," Nancy said. She began pushing buttons at random and quickly realized it was a puzzle to push all the buttons in a particular order. Every time she pressed an incorrect button, the puzzle reset itself. She eventually figured out the solution through brute force. I think this is the first puzzle she solved legitimately in this story. Way to go, Nancy! And yes, I know, this is not exactly how the puzzle works in the actual game, but don't complain about that. Just let Nancy have this victory. The lid of the trunk opened. Inside was a marionette. "Not this again!" Nancy said, picking it up and throwing it into the wall. Underneath it was a series of jewel-shaped indentations. Nancy inserted the jewels she stole from the museum. The bottom drawer of the trunk opened, revealing a tiny key. "What the heck is this for?" Nancy wondered. She checked her pockets. She had Adela's letter, a lock of Radek's hair, a postcard she never paid for, 3 pounds of coffee grounds, and the locked snow globe. "Oh, duh," Nancy said. The key fit into the hole at the bottom of the snow globe. The picture changed to some buildings, along with the words, "Check the underground tunnels." Nancy groaned as she realized that was her next destination. Before leaving, she tried to tell Marek about her discovery, but he interrupted her and talked about alchemists playing hide-and-seek or something like that. Nancy was a little confused that Marek didn't care to learn what was inside his ancient trunk, but maybe that was for the best. He probably wouldn't be happy to learn Nancy opened it with stolen gems. "I thought I came to Prague to stop a gem theft, not to commit one," Nancy thought. Nancy returned to the hidden tunnels, which were thankfully empty. If that creepy knight returned, she was going to throw the snow globe at his head. The tunnels contained a bunch of closed doors and artwork. Nancy wondered why none of it had been moved upstairs to the museum. After enough searching, Nancy found a picture that perfectly matched the scene in the snow globe. "Now what?" she asked. "Am I supposed to visit the location in this picture or something?" Nancy tried pulling the art off the wall. It was heavy. Too heavy. Either it had been carved out of rock, or there was something hidden underneath it. Nancy leaned against the wall and thought about what to do next. What Nancy hadn't noticed was some oddly shaped holes in the wood underneath the picture. She was supposed to use the snow globe as a key to unlock a light-based puzzle with over 15 pieces. Solving the hidden puzzle would reveal the hidden door to the alchemist's lab. While the puzzle was still intact and could be solved as intended, the ropes holding it up were not in good shape after 500 years. Merely touching the wall was more than enough pressure to trigger the door mechanism. The hidden door in the wall flung open. "Whoa, what? Whoa!" Nancy cried as she fell to the ground. She stood up, rubbing her hurt shoulder. It took her half a minute to realize what had just happened. "I found the alchemist's lab!" Nancy cheered. Then, in case somebody was watching, she added, "I meant to do that." Yeah, she totally found it on purpose. She didn't, accidentally find a hidden door just by leaning against the wall. Nope. She's a great detective. Author's note: snow globes were invented in Germany in the year 1900. So it's unlikely that a snow globe key would have been inside an alchemy trunk from the 1500s. Maybe the alchemist was a time traveler. Or maybe someone changed the key to a snow globe later on? Either way, Patricia has some explaining to do. Explaining which she never does. Chapter 20. 500 years ago. The alchemist was showing off his laboratory to King Rudolph II. "I've already given my trunk to Marelka," he said. "It can only be opened with the jewels I gave to Oskadena. Inside is the key, which must be used on the snow globe to unlock the door to this lab." "What's a snow globe?" King Rudolph II asked. "I have no idea," the alchemist said. "The point is that it will be nearly impossible for a villain to gather all the items necessary to even enter the laboratory. And even if they did, I have taken steps to ensure that only the truly worthy will be able to find the blueprints for the 7 keys. "And what are these steps?" King Rudolph II asked. "Check the book, your majesty," the alchemist said. "There are over 100 different books in here," the king said. "Exactly," the alchemist said. "Only a true alchemist would be able to determine that this," he tapped on a black book, "is the correct tome. Only a true alchemist could decipher the instructions and create the formula necessary to reveal the combination to my safe." King Rudolph II smiled. "It is good to hear that the blueprints will not fall into the wrong hands," he said. "Only the greatest of intellects could bypass our puzzles." Present day. "What do you call a chemist named Al?" Nancy said. "An alchemist!" Nancy did a sideways dance as she entered the alchemy lab. She stopped dancing when she bumped into a desk covered with papers, old books, and a peculiar black rock. Picking it up, she ran her fingers against the cold metal. This was definitely not a naturally formed rock. A human must have made it. "I think there's something inside," Nancy said. "I need to get it out, somehow." She threw the rock against the wall, causing it to crack. A few more throws and it fell apart completely, revealing a rectangular block with 3 symbols. Oh, that is so much easier than doing the alchemy puzzle as intended. My gosh. It did take Nancy long to realize that the symbols on the block matched with a lock on a nearby cabinet. "Opening safes is easy when you know the combination," Nancy said. The cabinet contained several coins and gems, which she slipped into her purse. She also found an old book. "The Alchemist's Journal!" Nancy cheered. "It'll have the blueprints for the 6.5 keys. All I have to do is make sure they're safe and—" Wait. The journal wasn't written in English. "This makes less sense to me than the list of ingredients on my cereal boxes," Nancy said. "Who can I get to translate this thing? I could ask Oscar, but he's mad at me right now. I could ask Radek, but he might talk about marionettes again. I could ask Patricia, but I'm not sure how to do that without letting it slip that I'm a detective." Nancy eventually decided to ask Adela to translate the journal. She left the alchemist's lab and tried to leave the hidden tunnels. She quickly ran into a problem. "Hey, who locked the exit door?" Nancy complained. "Nobody knows I'm down here. Now I gotta find another way out." She looked around for an exit sign, but found none. She wandered the tunnels, trying every single door she found. They were all locked. "Hey, Prague Castle, Blackmore Manor just called," Nancy said. "They want their secret alchemy lab and creepy tunnels back." Since every single door and passage in the place looked exactly the same, it was mere luck when Nancy found the correct one. The door led to a rock-lined hallway with skeletons and a cage. "Creepy," Nancy said. She walked to the end of the tunnel, which was a locked door. Then she turned left and went down a side passageway. She climbed up the conveniently placed ladder, which somehow led her to the fountain in the plaza. Standing at the base of the ladder was a confused skeleton knight. Did she even notice I was chasing her for the past 5 minutes?" he asked. "Maybe this costume isn't as scary as I thought." Since the skeleton knight always appears behind Nancy and never in front of her, it is possible to do those challenges without even realizing you're being chased. Chapter 21. Nancy had gone from nighttime in the tunnels to nighttime in the courtyard. She wondered exactly how long she had spent inside the tunnels. Surely it hadn't been more than 5 hours. Nancy's phone rang, playing the song Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. She quickly answered it. Adela, hi, Nancy said. I was just about to call you. I found the alchemist's journal, but I can't read it. I'm going to need you to translate it. Okay, Adela said. What's the first sentence? It's a section called Hada Hakuna Matata, Nancy said. Haranka, Adela corrected her. That's Czech for puzzle or riddle. Right. Can you translate, everything in this section for me? Nancy said. I don't know ancient Czech, or modern Czech, really. All I did to prepare for this case was watch the Cat in the Hat movie, which has a joke about Czechoslovakia, which isn't a country anymore. So I have no idea how that script got past the fact-checkers. I'd love to translate the journal for you, Adela said, but I have other plans tonight. I won't be able to get the journal from you until 3 a.m. at the earliest. What are you doing tonight that's more important than stopping the biggest jewel heist of the century? Nancy asked. I was invited to a killer party, Adela said. The after party's at the Hungerkünstler Cafe, so just leave the journal there and I'll pick it up then. Okay, Nancy said. When can I expect a finished translation? I'll message you as soon as I can, Adela said. Nancy wasn't entirely sure how much she could trust Adela on this one, but a free translation was a free translation. Then I guess I'll leave the journal with Patricia, she said. Oh, Patricia doesn't work nights, Adela said. I'll leave it with her assistant then, Nancy said. She doesn't have one of those, Adela said. I'll leave it with whoever is working at the cafe, Nancy said. Bye. Nancy hung up the phone and went into the cafe, only to discover that nobody was working. The area behind the counter was completely empty. Anyone could easily walk up and take whatever they wanted. This place is lucky it doesn't get robbed, Nancy said, before rethinking her statement. There were a few customers in the cafe who would probably notice if she stole a coffee machine. It wasn't completely unguarded. This place is slightly harder to rob than the museum, Nancy corrected herself. She threw the book at the counter, then pulled out her phone to text Patricia. She paused as she saw that she had 12 new text messages. One was from Deirdre Shannon. Drew, why is some guy in Germany threatening to sue me? I swear if I find out you had something to do with this. All the other texts were from an anonymous number. The first one looked like secret instructions to a puzzle. This is the puzzle that Nancy gets at the very start of the game. I purposely had her, not notice it until halfway through. The message read, We love our past. You don't belong here. An hour later, there was a second message. Do you need a hint? Because it looks like you haven't solved this puzzle yet. Okay, here's a hint. Check the bold letters. They refer to something inside the cafe. You still haven't solved the puzzle yet? Okay, more hints. Notice how each bold letter refers to a section of the library? Notice how the library sections have numbers? Enter the correct numbers into the phone for a map. Wow, it looks like you still haven't solved this puzzle yet? Okay, the map leads you to a book, but it's locked. Maybe the numbers on the map will help? Don't forget the map is upside down. The math isn't that bad. It's all a bunch of single-digit addition and subtraction. Don't be scared. It's been over 12 hours, and you still haven't taken the key from the book yet? This is ridiculous. I didn't make the puzzle that hard. Look, here's a picture of the correct solution. I took it from Arglefumph's YouTube channel. No, I didn't make a second account just so I could subscribe to his channel twice. That'd be weird. Nancy shook her head. She definitely should have checked her phone earlier that day. It sounded like her unknown helper, whoever it was, had gotten increasingly frustrated with her lack of progress with the book puzzle. Nancy quickly located the correct book and spun the dials to the correct numbers. The book opened up, revealing a large black key. "All right, I got one of the 6.5 keys," Nancy said. "And it only took 21 chapters, too. At this rate, I'll have the mystery solved before chapter 137.